Welcome to the second and final module of the Meal Component Tool training for the Michigan Department of Education. I am Dot Anderson, Department Analyst for the School Nutrition Programs Unit. I will demonstrate how to add data to the menu worksheet Meal Component Tool. The tool will help you stay in compliance with the final rule nutrition standards in the National School Lunch Program. Filling out this tool and showing that your meals are in compliance with nutrition standards is part of the new administrative review. You have already completed the Meal Component Tool preparation training, and all of the crediting and portion size information has been gathered. We are ready to begin. You will find links to the Excel menu worksheet Meal Component Tool on the last slide of this training. Each Excel file has 12 tabs located at the bottom of the spreadsheet. The menu worksheet instructions gives a quick review of the worksheet instructions. Hyperlinks are available for your convenience, including links to the food buying guide and calculator. SFA notes is for the School Food Authority to enter comments for state agency reviewers. The All Meals tab is the first tab requiring data entry. Optional vegetable bar is to report daily offerings from a vegetable salad bar. Monday through Friday tabs are to report meals and vegetable subgroups offered for the day. The weekly report tab shows the results of weekly meal pattern requirements check. Nutrient instructions provide a snapshot of the complete directions. The Simplified Nutrient Assessment tab is optional. You may use it to see if you are meeting dietary specifications. This tab assesses the average daily calories, percent of calories from saturated fat, and sodium. We will start with the All Meals tab located at the bottom of the spreadsheet. In column 1, the meal names offered across the week will be entered. The other columns list various food components within the meal pattern. Meat alternates in column 2, grains in column 3, whole grain rich grains column 3A, grain-based desserts 3B, fruit column 4, fruit juice 5A, and fluid milk column 6. Just above column 1 and 3 is a hyperlink to the food buying guide calculator. Above column 3A and 3B is a hyperlink to the menu worksheet instructions tab. And above column 4A and 5 is a hyperlink to the weekly report tab. At the far right of the screen, the section past the fluid milk column, optional tools to assist in fraction and decimal calculations can assist SFAs in adding fractions and converting between decimals and fractions. An example on the right is shown with different vegetable cup portion sizes, and when added together equals 7/8 of a cup. On the All Meals tab, SFAs must list reimbursable meals offered on the menu. Click in the cell starting with line 1 and type in the meal name. Each reimbursable meal consists of all required food components. All unique reimbursable meals offered over the course of the entire week must be entered one meal per row of the worksheet. If the same main dish is offered with the same quantity of vegetables, fruit, and milk is available every day, enter it only once. However, if the same main dish is offered with different quantities of fruits or vegetables, it must be entered as 2 separate entries in column 1. Here is an example of the same main dish offered during the week with different quantities of fruits and vegetables. It must be entered as 2 separate entries in column 1 using 2 rows. The tuna sandwich on Monday offers 1 cup of fruit and 1 cup of vegetables. And the tuna sandwich meal on Wednesday offers 1½ cups of fruit and 1½ cups of vegetables. Once the meal name for meal number 1 has been entered, the meal components and corresponding serving sizes must be entered. This menu was prepared to include portion sizes, conversions, and credible amounts that were calculated with nutrition facts labels, CN labels, product formulation statements, standardized recipes, food buying guide, and other resources. We will enter the components into the worksheet. After looking at the lunch menu for grades 9 to 12, we know that mini beef burgers were offered on Monday. Mini beef burgers are typed in column 1 under meal name on line 1. In column 2, the meat alternate ounce equivalency was predetermined by looking at the CN label. 2 ounces has been entered in column 2. Be sure to type in the number only. Do not enter text here. It will result in an error message. In column 3, enter the total amount of grains in the reimbursable meal. Include all whole grain rich grains, non-whole grain rich grains, and grain-based desserts here. According to the menu, 2 ounces of grains were offered with this meal. Column 3A is asking for the number of ounce equivalents that are whole grain rich. It was determined that 2 ounce equivalent of whole grain rich buns were offered with this meal, so the number 2 has been entered in column 3A. No grain-based desserts were offered with this meal, so column 3B has been left blank. Use the drop-down menu in column 4 to enter total minimum fruit offered with this meal. 1 cup has been clicked. Total fruit includes both fruit pieces and fruit juice. Column 4A is left blank because no fruit juice was offered. In column 5, total vegetables offered must be entered here. This includes vegetable pieces and vegetable juice. 1/2 cup of green beans and 1/2 cup of cooked carrots were offered, and a daily vegetable bar was offered with a total credible amount of 1 cup, making the total amount of vegetables offered with this meal at 2 cups, which was entered in column 5. Column 5A is left blank because no vegetable juice was offered. The options on drop-down buttons in the fruit and vegetable columns range from 1/8 cup as being the smallest credible amount to 2 cups. In column 6, enter amount of milk offered. Report this in cups, not ounces. 1 cup has been entered in column 6. Use the optional vegetable bar tab only if there is a vegetable bar offered for the week with the same vegetable subgroup offerings multiple times over the week. The vegetable bar must be accessible to all students for the days in which it is offered. Select the name and quantity of each vegetable offered on the vegetable bar in the appropriate subgroup. The quantity is the minimum offered amount for each student. Menu planners must predetermine what the offered amount is. Options for implementing this include pre-portioning and signage that encourages students to select a certain amount. Offered amounts may also be based on historical daily data. Unlimited portions cannot be assessed for component and nutrient requirements. If a vegetable bar is offered as an entire reimbursable meal containing grains, meat alternates, and fruit, enter this in the All Meals tab. naming it something similar to a salad bar meal, and listing the food component contributions. The vegetable bar on this menu is offering 1 cup of romaine. In the dark green vegetable subgroup column, you will get a yellow warning box reminding users to enter credible amounts. Raw leafy greens credit as half the volume as served, resulting in a half a cup being entered here. A 1/4 cup of tomatoes is offered in the red-orange vegetable subgroup, and a 1/4 cup of cucumbers are offered in the other vegetable subgroup column, equaling 1 cup of total credible vegetables on the salad bar. The menu has been filled out for you on the All Meals tab, including alternate meals consisting of a chicken ham sandwich and a PB&J sandwich with a cheese stick. Next are the Days of the Week tabs, starting with Monday to enter the Monday menu. Click on the drop-down arrow on line 1 and select the meal for Monday. When you click on the drop-down arrow on line 1, you will see all of the meals that you entered on the All Meals tab. Select the meals offered on Monday, 1 meal per row. According to the menu, many beef burgers were offered and a chicken ham sandwich. The new school meal pattern requires that schools with multiple serving lines must meet the daily and weekly meal pattern requirements. This worksheet does not assess compliance on a per-serving basis. All reimbursable meals must be entered in 1 worksheet, 1 menu type. SFAs must sign an attestation each year in their school nutrition program's application stating that each serving line is in compliance with the meal pattern. Therefore, list all meals available to a child on any line on any given day. Once the meal is selected, other columns within that row automatically fill in from data previously entered in the All Meals tab. There are daily component checks for meat alternates, grains, fruits, vegetables, and milk. If the entered quantity meets the daily minimum requirement, the requirement check column turns green. If the entered quantity does not meet the daily minimum requirements, the requirement check column turns red and reads no, like the example at the top. There is not a daily check for whole grain-rich grains, grain-based desserts, or juice. Here are 2 examples. The bottom shows that the daily requirements for the reimbursable meal is being met by the green yes in the daily requirements check column. And the top example shows that the daily requirements are not being met by the red no in the daily requirements check column. For each day of the week, after selecting the meal served for that day, scroll to the right and fill in the milk types offered with the meal for that day. In this case, it is skim fat-free flavored and low-fat 1% unflavored. If only 1 milk type is checked, you will get a red no. A variety of milk must be checked. The final step for Monday is reporting vegetable subgroups offered. Scroll to the right until the credible amount of all vegetable subgroups offered on Monday are viewable. If a salad bar is offered this day, select the checkbox in this section at the top where it says check this box if you offered the weekly vegetable bar on Monday with no changes. Go to each vegetable subgroup that was offered on Monday and click the drop-down box to select the largest amount of vegetables offered to any one student. This menu offered a half a cup of carrots in the red-orange vegetable subgroup column. Enter the largest amount any one student was offered by clicking the drop-down arrow to the right and enter the serving size. Above that section, enter the largest amount of red-orange vegetables to be selected on Monday. In this case, carrots were the only red-orange vegetable offered with this meal. A half a cup of green beans were also offered from the other vegetable subgroup column. Another example of a vegetable subgroup is from Wednesday's menu. The vegetables offered are from the beans, peas, legumes subgroup. A yellow reminder appears if crediting as a vegetable, do not also credit as a meat alternate. Baked beans were offered with this meal and is not listed in the subgroup list. These lists are not comprehensive. If an offered vegetable is unlisted, select Unspecified from the drop-down list. Then scroll down and enter the name of the vegetable in the text box at the bottom of the screen. Baked beans have been typed in here. Shown here is another example of vegetable subgroups from Friday's menu. Pizza sauce is credited in the red-orange subgroup as an ingredient in the pizza. Red bell peppers and carrots are also offered to all students that day. The child is selecting the pizza is being offered 1 1/8 cups of red-orange vegetables, but the student selecting the chicken ham sandwich alternate meal cannot also select the pizza meal. Do not add the amount of pizza sauce together with the red bell peppers and carrots in the red-orange subgroup column. If 2 or more items are offered and a child cannot select all of the vegetables offered, do not add the amounts together. The largest amount in this example is 1 cup of red-orange vegetable that a student can take. Accuracy in the largest amount box is critical. It determines the weekly subgroup offering and if the requirements have been met. The next tab is the Weekly Report tab. This tab compiles all daily and weekly information to check all requirements have been met. The requirement check becomes green if the requirement was met, and it turns to a red no if the requirement have not been met. This tab also assesses the weekly requirement for fruit juice and vegetable juice, no more than half of the weekly offerings in the form of juice. It also assesses grain-based dessert, 2 or fewer ounces equivalent per week, and whole grain rich grains. All grain offerings are whole grain rich. The weekly maximum limit for both grains and meat alternate components may be exceeded. USDA provided permanent flexibility in January of 2014. The weekly report screenshot shows that the requirements have not been met. Insufficient quantities of fruit on Monday, insufficient quantities of meat alternate on Tuesday, insufficient quantities of grain on Monday. There is a note in yellow asking to check for a waiver regarding the whole grain rich criteria flexibility with a state approval form. USDA is allowing state agencies to issue an exemption form from the regulatory whole grain rich requirement in the school meals program in school years 2014-15 and 2015-16 to SFAs that demonstrate a hardship in procuring compliant whole grain rich products that are acceptable to students. Complete details on this exemption are contained in USDA Memo SP 20-2015. The Simplified Nutrient Assessment tab is optional. Use this tab for your own purposes, checking to see if your menus meet the dietary specifications. Daily average calories, percent of calories from saturated fat, and sodium are assessed. The instructions for the Simplified Nutrient Assessment and Actual Assessment are located in the final two tabs after the weekly report of the menu worksheet. At the top left of the Assessment tab, you will see Fruit. Select the two buttons that best apply to fruit offerings within a 5-day menu entered for the menu worksheet. The percentage of offerings containing added fat and/or sugar include fats and sugars used during preparation of the food, as well as any additional fats or sugars added to the component. The user must select an option other than the default button, Fruit Not Offered. No fat was added to the fruit in this menu, so less than 30% total fat is marked. There were 2 cups of fruit in syrup offered with this menu. Take 2 cups of fruit with added sugar and divide by the total amount of fruit for the week, which is 5 cups, and you will get 40%. Mark 30 to 70% of fruit offered throughout the week with added sugar. Scroll down below the fruit section to milk types and select the button describing which 2 milk offerings are most frequently offered. This menu offered low-fat 1%, unflavored, and non-fat flavored. Next, scroll down past the milk. Each of the vegetable subgroups also has a selection chart. The first is dark green vegetables. Check the gray box. The box has already estimated the share of dark green vegetables a child is offered based on the total volume of vegetables offered over a 5-day week menu from earlier data entered. Select the button that best describes added fat offered in the dark green vegetables. Only one selection can be made. Be sure to estimate the percent of fat added throughout the week the same way the added fat and added sugar in the fruit section was calculated. Proceed to all remaining subgroups, following the same steps described above. For the red-orange subgroup only, select both an added fat option and an added sugar option. In the next section of the assessment, below the vegetable subgroup questions, select yes or no for the 4 vegetable sodium assessment questions. For question number 5 regarding USDA foods, select the option that best represents the percentage of USDA food vegetables offered during the week. Now scroll to the top and begin the main dish simplified nutrient data entry. This has already been filled out. The meal name that you put in the All Meals tab pre-populates into column M1, the meal name. In column M2, enter the main dish, the part of the meal associated with the information entered in columns M3 to M5. Calories, saturated fat, and sodium. In columns M6, enter the number of offered weekly servings. If the main dish is served more than 1 day per week, add the number of servings for all days offered. Do not include nutrient information for meal components outside of the main dish, like fruit, vegetables, milk, or anything reported in the desserts, sides, condiment section. To the right is the other sides, desserts, and condiment column. In column 01, enter the name of the food item. Column 02, enter the calories per serving. Column 03, saturated fat grams per serving. Sodium is in column 04, and the number of servings of each item offered over the course of the week is in column 05. Check your labels to obtain crediting information as well as nutrient information for calories, saturated fat, and sodium. You see by looking at this nutrition facts label that the serving size is in grams. It is 76 grams for each serving, consisting of 4 mini corn dogs, and 180 calories for 4 corn dogs. It is 2.5 grams of saturated fat and 280 milligrams of sodium for 4 corn dogs. The menu is offering 6 mini corn dogs. Calculations from 4 corn dogs to a serving of 6 corn dogs must be made before entering the amounts into the worksheet. The optional tools calculator is located to the right of the sides, desserts, and condiment columns. Use this tool to assist in calculating different offered serving sizes. There is a section for calculating serving sizes offered in cups and in weight. By looking at the label, we see that the first step will be to find the weight for 6 mini corn dogs. First, take 76 grams for a 4 mini corn dog serving and divide it by 4, which equals 19 grams. Times it by 6 corn dogs to be offered with this meal. This equals 114 grams for 6 mini corn dogs. On the optional tools calculator, enter 114 grams in the food item weight offered section. Then enter 76 grams in the section stating enter food item weight in a serving. Then enter 180 calories for a 4 mini corn dog serving in the section that states enter number of calories or saturated fat grams servings. And then hit enter. You will get the calories for the serving size you are offering. You can see that 6 mini corn dogs is 270 calories. You may do this for the saturated fat and sodium as well. For the last step of the Simplified Nutrient Assessment tab, scroll to the bottom middle of the screen past the bottom of the main dish and dessert condiment chart. This section, daily amounts based on the average for a 5-day week, calculates daily average calories, percentage of calories from saturated fat, and daily average sodium. If the menu meets requirements, the assessment box turns green. Thank you for joining us. This is the contact information for further questions regarding meal component tool for both myself and the School Nutrition Programs unit. Also included are links for the meal component tool worksheets and instructions. This concludes your meal component tool training.